Go live again. Oh boy. One more time. Yeah, definitely need to get that looked at. It might be something with the something being like just barely out of place. Okay, I don't know. But anyways, we're back. I probably won't be able to keep the other recording, but you know, it's fine. I'm not sure exactly where we left off, but
not too far in from where we're at.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road.
yeah, it's right after this.
That we just got to the theater. That's where we're at.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
Right here.
Okay. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic, to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I had to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Hello, person I do not know. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Hello, other person I do not know. Why are there all these people I don't know now?
Don't worry about it. There's new people.
I mean, sure.
Sound too enthusiastic.
Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella's with them. Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm making sure my Twitch is actually running.
I knew.
You're good.
Wasting no time, I marched over their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness. Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep her and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. Nerd! Nerd is back! Hi, Nerd! I'm always sad when I don't see Nerd when I'm playing a visual novel. Last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us, none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about it now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabel pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how the whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today. That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I imagined. She dodges my hand, I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself, even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Nah, you're not annoying, Nerd. I'm glad that you're so interested in these games that you pop in, because it makes for more fun, you know, for us playing it for the first time. Shouting and chasing, like none of us can be bothered to act like the full-grown adults we're supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash? Out of everyone? In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. That sounds like Ash. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand's still midair as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one else to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet, try as I might, the green-eyed monster eagerly rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small, little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him did teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond. Not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something? Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Oh my god, again? Hold on. It's my Wi-Fi, I think. I may get through a stream today. I may not.
It is freaking out again.
I know. Like, usually at least once... There we go. Usually at least once a stream it'll, like, disconnect once, but usually it doesn't... Yeah. Well, this was just a disconnect. Before it was actual, like, my computer actually crashed. So... But it's back up again now. Little do I know this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground.
Here we go.
Oh boy. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't even give me time to regret or think over my choice of words. From there it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after the other, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
Hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this. And however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone that is selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now. Don't bother.
Oof. Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right in our faces, while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready. Before I can open my mouth and let it all out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look to him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may seem like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, the only rings sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
As careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give, yet here he is, trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright bashing it out in public. Later, we can and will talk about it, of course. It's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face. Only an undeniable hurt. She's never been good at hiding what she thinks, always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. When she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless of times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now. Somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a long-lost piece of the puzzle, despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly into the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I'd often tell myself. The way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. Like a coward, I walk away from it all, taking with me a small hope that movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dark has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I am hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. Forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd, nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah. See ya.
Not even to return the smiles of Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that, maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter, for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
Oof.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing, I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
People wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded. Once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now this is also at the very end of the long list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls me after me sounds nothing more than the background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
Oof. A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but at the same time, my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring into me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. When you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet somehow, in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already 500,000 other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Oof. Hold on. I'm gonna save.
Yep, save.
So I'm assuming this is the angry answer. Like, I'm not in the mood to talk right now. And then this is the easy, like, going answer. Like, I'm fine, it's just this cold's bothering me, and...
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I'd rather say that. I don't want to make her mad.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of
Yeah,
people
that
around,
definitely makes it go up.
there were weird things happening.
Well, she's not in total pink. She has a purple skirt,
Pink enough.
but mostly pink. Why isn't she called Rose when she's all pink and has the flower shirt and
You're questioning this.
and during nerd agrees. And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic.
Oh, her keychain has a rose on it? I didn't know that. I was like, why isn't she named Rose? That's a good question.
Isabella.
Yeah?
A pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint as my patience allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me. Perhaps this time I genuinely feel about it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so. I told you you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something.
Well, both.
Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever. Just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. I can find a little comfort in that. What is that breathing?
Isabella probably fell asleep.
Oh. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, this silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you rarely get with her around.
And then whatever this music is underneath.
I know I've heard that before. It's gonna bother me. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity, every little sound, every little movement more palpable. And with it comes the unease. Jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation.
Who butt dialed?
Who booked? It's probably royalty-free elevator music. Yeah, I swear I've heard it before, like somewhere specific. I'm just trying to think of where.
That is bugging the hell out of you.
It is. In my haste, I accidentally dislodged my mobile from its seat. Yeah, it probably is.
Elevator music.
See on the dashboard when I swipe up on the screen. Maybe I've heard it in another game before, like.
Or movie too, I think.
Oh yeah, probably a movie too. Yeah, it's like everyone knows it, but no one knows from where. Like, what is this music? Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back.
Rose.
Oh boy. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile.
She was in a movie.
Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
What?
Oh.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines on my mouth forms into a frown nonetheless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Yeah, I would say the flu usually knocks it out of you. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed it earlier. That it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Oh no.
In the back seat.
No! Oh shit!
Oh.
Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. First thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by on a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in the eye that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. Try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Oh, I hate that laugh. The fuck did I come back to? I know, right, Pandora? Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught, and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment. Regrets signing up as an Uber. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move, or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have. Isabella and I might have. No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Oh. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty— there's that music again! I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
I don't think it's the flu, Rebecca. I really don't. My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, little by little, second after second. As I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca! Becca! Are you okay?
I don't think so.
Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mind throbbing at my temple, I can honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road. Or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she set loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure I still believe that. If there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise.
I'll be...
Just please.
Oh, I can
we give
arrange
this
that.
whole thing a rest for now?
What are you talking about, Nert?
I think I know. Are you talking about the ghost girl in the back of the car? Literally about killing him. Yeah, that's what I thought.
She was asking for a peaceful death. Okay, fair enough. A death by cuddles, that sounds fantastic. She nods and that is the end of it. Okay. Fair enough. So that's the end of the...
long Friday.
It really has been a long Friday. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem well in silence, and thoughts of overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind and of smiles never meant for eyes abandoned if only for a brief moment. Oh boy.
Jade, a jump to the 25th.
Yep. Begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. Despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take a day off or two because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit while I walk past on my way to my mailbox. Chances are around this hour she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll try repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled on her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m. Ugh. Ugh. Either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. Ugh. That's too early. Surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. I'm usually up at like 8. Like anything earlier than like 7 is like ungodly early to me.
Hey, coming from the grandma.
Ugh. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around here. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. Oh my god, I cannot talk today. We aren't well off. Oh my god, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if it had gained Mom and Dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Oh, it's the invitation to the party? The party. Whoever sent it has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabel wrinkling her nose as soon as she sees this, then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've ever received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academe naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much more personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from older students, people who have grown fond of my parents, and they in turn treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. Like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Hope? Even if it's a small... that phone popped up way too fast there. I was like, oh! Even if it's a small thing as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh yeah, they're Scottish, aren't they?
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
The Wright's housewarming party.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. Must be nothing too important if I don't remember committing it to memory. Oh, it's important, alright! There are a lot of Hanas in the world, so who knows?
Hana.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
Makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too.
Say it!
Say it! Do it!
Shouldn't be that hard. Hey, Mom, Dad, can you care to swing by for like 20 minutes?
For like 20 minutes.
Miss you.
Just enough for a hug. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Da are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes from months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hana. Hana Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other things, doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
Oh, she brings Ash, doesn't she?
I think so.
I see.
Because Ash was at the
Maybe
party.
you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Not for that man
If
to
it's
have to,
not
kill
going
her.
to be a big problem
Yeah.
for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
Isabella's gonna be a little busy.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. I actually read this scene in the diary. Yeah, she goes to tutor Hana, and then Rebecca and Hana have this scene where, like, she dresses up Rebecca and stuff, like, in, like, fancy clothes and whatnot. It's cute. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. And then she goes over to, Hannah dresses her up really pretty, and then she goes over to Ashton and is like, do you notice anything different? And he's like, your eyes look weird or something. And she's just like, God damn it, Ashton. It's so funny.
Notice me.
Notice me, senpai. I know, right? Oh yeah, Mandy! Yeah, it's so funny because he's a freaking detective. How did he not notice that she was wearing makeup and stuff? Like, I don't even know. Oh, what he said was her glasses. She wasn't wearing her glasses. She used to wear glasses. And he was like, you're not wearing glasses. Why are you not wearing glasses? And she was like, really?
That's what you noticed.
That's what you noticed? And Mandy. There's a lot of stuff in the diary about Mandy, too. She was, like, the class bully. And her and Rebecca had, like, a lot of, tiffs, I guess you would call. Anyways, as it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. But Mandy actually looks kind of similar to Hana. Like, think Hana, but younger and curly hair. Curly blonde hair. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling.
Alright, have fun with your Beat Saber, Pandora.
Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on the ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it, though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. With a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Oh my god, I would have taken the day off. Jesus Christ.
The day off.
Oh, but I guess it's been like a lot of days over. Okay, yeah. She took the weekend off, I guess, and... Oh, this is the day Isabella goes over to Zach's house. Okay. Even for a wee bit, it's never a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of my day awaits. 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out, dressed for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything. There's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face lest other people are nosy enough to ask. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. My brisk pace slows to a stop, and a frown gradually forms in its place.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday before their open house. But those days are few and far in between. It only happens in the direst circumstances, though the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, with what's happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. Death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella is the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary, Ashton, and I, that has been the case. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot, despite their training team being brief. She's at Zach's house, then.
Yeah, because this is the day after. I think she got attacked at the off.
Yeah, she would have got attacked at the office. Yeah. The eve of the 24th. Or wait.
She's not even. Yeah, she's not even home.
Yeah, and they call... Okay. Yeah. So she's at Zach's
Yeah,
house.
because they couldn't find her.
Right. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot, despite their training being brief. I've given her the space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her.
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
Flight steps, I move closer to her door, hand already poised to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. After a second, I finally knock, lightly so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. So she must have left the television running and...
Because I think she had it on the news and she heard about Rose. Then went to work. And then I think at some point never came back.
Never mind how she never lets that happen. Ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then I'm fishing out a copy of her key. Yeah, she does have a rose on her keychain.
With a rose-colored key.
Wow. My bag and unlocking the door. She lent it years ago, after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I've simply stopped trying to hand it back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, all right?
Without waiting for her answer, I push the door open and step inside. There's all the cup noodles! Her unit's still a mess. Instant cup noodles on the table, a pile of clothes on the one side, paper strewn about everywhere, and an unkept bed, among other things.
And here's a plot twist. It's Becca that killed Rose, and now she will absorb her name and become the true Rose.
Okay. What is this serial killer plot right now? This much is a given. Will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with the place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far earlier than usual. I still like the little yang plushie there. It's nice. But she never...
I want that fat cat back, though.
Yeah, the fat cat bat. But she never ever leaves without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. Doesn't help that her bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit. It can only mean she hasn't been here since. Last night? Perhaps even since this morning after Miss Cooper's death. This is 5, right? So it's 5 in the morning? Oof.
Either 5 or 6.
Yeah, it looks like 5 to me, but I could be wrong. Either idea is as well with me with the news we've been hearing lately.
Trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Oof. Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her mobile. Rings for a good minute, the sound of comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering, well, I'm not a woman prone to panicking. Sudden bouts of temper, maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking. When it ultimately goes straight to her voicemail, a sigh is the only thing I let out. The pause doesn't last long, though. In the next moment, my finger is already moving across the screen in search of the 2 people who might be able to help. Nash's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each other grief. That already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour he's probably still sleeping. If he has a freelance work, it's very likely he's just gotten himself in bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't take long. Soon a click, then Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, rough and still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us?
That was a good one.
I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that? Shit. Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had this conversation.
Drunk.
So, you have no idea?
Wait.
Was he?
This is the 25th.
Yeah, so on the 24th. We have no idea.
I don't know. No, I think he's just tired, like, extremely tired.
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting hard surface and a string of rather colorful curses coming from him.
Oh, he fell out of the bed. Out of the bed.
The moment might have been one of the many things I'll keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days. If things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe. One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about. Did you try calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
All right, I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
Okay. He ends the call before I can utter a single word of protest. For the first time since entering this room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. The bed creaks as I sit down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news, and I'm surrounded by clutter. All the same, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I'll have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the latter for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like his promises. And true to his word, he calls back a few minutes after the last one has ended.
She's with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
What are you, her mother?
Pretty much. I mean,
That closest game spot.
it's one thing to hear that from Isabella, but from Ashton?
I don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know?
Says the person who keeps calling her Scaredy Cat.
That's not related at all. Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
Sounds like a lie if I've ever heard one. The sort where he omits things so people won't fret, and I'm not sure whether I should be happy he cares that much to do that. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without it gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite and after all the trouble he went through with how things are moving at the moment, only one thought occurs to me. Oh boy. Well, if I say I can handle it, it's probably gonna sound like super rude. Probably. How's our relationship with them bad? What did we do before?
I think it started off bad. Because when we went in, it immediately went down.
Yeah. If we say I can handle it, he's probably gonna get mad and tell me to stay put. Anyways. So I think we should just say sorry for the trouble.
Now it makes me wonder which one of them is the actual parent friend. The way they tell each other, no, you don't do this, I'll take care of it, no, I'll take care of this, and just sit back and do whatever. They both literally do that with each other.
I know. Yeah, it made it go up. Okay, cool. I recognize his concern for what it is. It's not new for him to go out of his way for us, and to be honest, this is what I love about him. As much as I would have loved to take this off his hands, it'll only be selfish of me to insist, considering he knows of my other commitments. To do so feels like I'll be trampling on that kindness he seldom offers to anyone.
Sorry for putting you up to this.
Nah, don't mention it. You've got other things you need to worry about. Take care of those first. This is a small thing.
I still owe you one.
Oh, I can name a few things you can do about that. You know, there's this ice cream shop that opened near the movie house. I could use...
Okay, let's stop right there. That's enough. On second thought, maybe I'll just think about it some other time.
Harsh.
We both laugh. The sound lighter and more comfortable. Like the old days, when a wayward 26-year-old is at the bottom of the list we need to worry about. This is how we find a common ground. We may not agree on a lot of things. We may see things the way the other does, but the give and take is something we've learned to get used to over the years. Whatever it's like this, confidence in him is the least I can offer as thanks.
Really? Thanks for this, Ash.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
I admit, the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that. So many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he'd simply lay them all out in the open, because, like this, I'm more inclined to think there's an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. Wait, did she turn off the television at least?
I have no idea.
She should have. It's wasted electricity, damn it! The rest of the day slips away to blur. When Isabella gets back, she's gonna be upset. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. There's the Michael Myers poster again.
Career day, man.
Career day. What a career. What's something to shoot for, man.
That's the best career.
Right? Serial killer. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems.
You too can look like a robot, man.
Oh my gosh. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. When locals talk about death here, anyone could sure as hell count on someone bringing up that mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put back up on the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because the atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, and this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget. School day's about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them's even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
Were there 3 that wrote on the letter? Was there 3 of them?
I think there was 4.
Was there 4?
I think there was 3 in the shot and 1 holding the camera.
Ah,
I
okay.
think there was 3 guys and a girl.
Okay.
No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day. Scary shit, man.
Scary shit, man.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
That's trespassing now.
Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper in this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it.
Back to your
Cock and bull
everyone.
story. I know, right?
And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before...
The noise, the whole lot of them goes silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. Look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me. Yeah, I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. Been unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been feeling these past few days. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. Well, I mean, it was technically private before, but no one was living in it, so it's like they weren't really gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, but now they have security around the whole damn center.
AKA, what is his name?
Johans.
AKA Johans. That's who they have. He's the only security.
That's all he needs.
In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footfalls, an everyday cycle in itself. I mean, Jesus Christ, Johan's in like one move took Zack down, like, bam. Zack's freaking huge.
And dragged him to a prison cell.
Right? But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal.
It's like 50 kids missing, not just 3.
50 kids?
Like, if they all decide to go over there and be like, oh, well, you're not gonna go on that dare, are you? And Johan's just like, why do they keep coming? I gotta clean this shit up.
A good minute passes, and for the portion of it, only my steps echoes through the halls. And another. I'm about to turn around when... Oh, boy. Is that something on the window, or...
Sounds like a locker.
The sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each interval. The hallway devout of people. If I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers.
You got stuffed in the locker? Damn, those are tiny ones.
Yeah, those are really tiny ones. We used to have, like, the whole, you know,
We
the
had
whole
the
thing.
full tall ones.
Yeah, the full tall ones to ourselves. And from inside what... It still was never enough space, right? Like,
No,
seriously.
I would have hated to have one of those half ones with the amount of shit we had.
Yeah. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise. Annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Whoo! Like someone's pounding on the metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to get a glimpse through the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only darkness greets me in another round of clanging. Louder than the previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before, from other schools, from a few colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice. Although personally, I've never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. But...
If this is another kid, some other student stuffed in a locker.
With a huff, I straighten up and study it, briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle, and... At once, it stops. Oh, shit. Immediately replaced by the muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few taps before taking my attention away. A second. Another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and I pull out my mobile. Oh boy. Ashton!
You fucker.
It's a terrible time to call. What the hell? Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matters. Or maybe because I'm just expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
There are only two things I know of that could be the reason for that tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead in his case. From the sound of it, I'm getting to assume it's the former, since lately the case is all that's running inside his head. If there's ever a third one, I've never heard of it. Yet. Can only be one of the two. The ham. It was... Ham is the third one. Food.
Oh, I think he just ate.
Yeah. Yeah, they just had the food, like... that morning, after he went over.
And he didn't save any for Becca, those bastards.
How dare they?
Left her out.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat, after she sold the mansion. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. Terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca?
Yeah, that was the window scene.
Yeah, in the middle of the busy street.
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you?
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get. But thanks for letting me know about this. If you want, I can get you that ice cream thing you mentioned tonight. As thanks. Just as thanks for all the trouble I've caused today.
Believe me, I'd love to take you up on that offer, but I've got something on my schedule this evening. Maybe some other time? Thanks a lot, Becca.
Skid.
Of course. There's a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I get from it are questions. More of them, one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping, if the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication.
Alright, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gales?
Wow. Adolescent teenagers, am I right?
How mature.
None of your business.
He totally is.
Also, what is that nasally voice?
I wanted that. That's what I'm waiting for so bad.
A quick scuffle follows that comment. There's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue. I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though. Rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to the classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a sound since.
Must be the wind.
I highly doubt that was the wind. So without another look, I leave it alone. Shit! That scared the shit out of me! That noise, why?
Can you imagine if
Oh
there was
my
actually a kid stuck
Jesus.
in there and she just left them because they were eavesdropping
Wow.
in on the conversation too? It's like, I'm still here, and just like lightly
Oh,
tapping
that'd
on the
be
door.
awful, man.
Like, come on.
Aww.
She didn't even open the door.
Feels bad. Hello, Cupcake. How are you? All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. It could have gone better, mind you. It could always go better. But with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's a far off dream for now. Wow, oh my god. At least until they're over. Then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is... I know! Stop reminding me! I'm gonna have to look it up later. All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the whole day ends. It's gonna be from some weird movie that I heard that I watched like 10 years ago. And I'll be like, oh yeah! And it's just reverberating in my brain. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? I mean, she's Mama Becca, and also, like, they're literally neighbors, and, like, there's just a thing about female companionship. Like, they just talk to each other more, I think. I don't know. Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
I found the track. It is from Incompetech.
Yeah, just about everyone will use it.
Okay. It's probably from some other visual novel I've played and I just don't remember. Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her, and both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. I don't suppose there's a list of games with that track? I would highly doubt it, but I'm just wondering where I've heard it before.
I'm looking.
Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with that letter, again. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is... Hang on. Hold on, I'm gonna... Oh! Cupcake! I know you! Okay, I thought you were the one from the other server. Foxy Cupcake is a friend of, Leon's. He jumps into my streams sometimes. I was just wondering, because I was like, that name sounds familiar. And I'm like, is that the same person? It is the same person. Hello, how are you? I know you. Okay. I need to follow you, actually. Hold on. Yeah, we played Dead by Daylight together, too. Hold on. Let me follow you, if I can. If I haven't already. I have not. But I have now. Yeah, I thought it was you, and then I was like, But I didn't know if you were in my Discord or not, or how you would find the stream, but yeah. Yeah. It's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end in another argument. God willing, the cafe's special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. Food is important.
Now I know where I keep hearing that track.
Where?
Literally every YouTuber uses it as their please stand by music.
Oh my god! I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure Mark's used it a bunch of times that I've heard of. Yeah.
Totally used it. I think several other people.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's definitely... Oh! Okay. I didn't know you could find my Twitch through that. That's cool.
Yeah, on Discord it tells you like when you're streaming and stuff, like I think right now.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm down with that. However you can find me. That's cool.
Just stalking you.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I was like, you're not in my Discord, I don't think. So I was like, how did you find me? But that makes sense.
Twitter.
Nice. So it is elevator music. Yeah, I do remember, like, hearing that in, like, technical difficulties. Yeah. God, that would have driven me crazy. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. Simply too much of a hassle. We can prepare food for ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. But with life going on a busy streak, no time for long lines. Better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact. A woman in her 60s and a teenage busy with his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. Oh.
God.
Oh boy. This ought to be interesting. The other two, a posh-looking man and a child, who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked out anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looking harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before.
You saw him at the house last week.
I know, I don't know how she doesn't recognize him.
Her memory with people's faces is horrendous.
Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar in him. I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. It's only been, like...
Not even a week!
What?
It's Friday.
Yeah, the 21st. Like,
It's been 4 days.
It also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I turn my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears, ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
He's already punched the order in before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more for formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order, while I fish out for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave? I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle. Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. What I would give for someone to buy you at my hands right now.
What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them in their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions, but you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move. Yet, my hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, might be a good, deadly weapon.
Beating
Might.
to death with it.
Yeah, death by literature, man. It's definitely a thing. I haven't gotten the chance to... Yeah. Oh well. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise.
They sold out of it! What do you want him to do?
I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one. The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few places he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. Wait, what? Oh my god! I didn't expect her to actually do it! There's a cry of pain, falling by him, instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Action, Becca. What you... She's gonna be my new champion on League, watch. Almost commonly, if this were a different situation and the safety of a St. Grady student isn't at stake, I'll probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
They basically did a Maka thing.
Yeah. Oh my god, I haven't thought about Soul Eater in a hot minute.
Throwback for you.
Wow. That was a time, man. What a time to be alive. It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that of utter delight upon seeing me.
After beating her uncle to the floor.
Yeah. Blood spewing out of his face, like...
And he's just bleeding up blood on her book.
But there's no time for any pleasantries. Not even quick ones. Because soon, the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. Damn. And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman, what's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been the weak-willed sort, I'd probably cower under his sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here just because I'm a woman or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your
Because she labels him kidnapper. Oh my god.
Every other parent or babysitter would totally say.
Well, I know, Fire Force was made by,
The same author.
the same author, yeah, so they're, like, taking It reminded me more of Blue Exorcist, actually. But, I mean...
Kind of a mix.
Yeah.
Like, Soul Eater art style and Blue Exorcist kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my business.
I've never actually watched it, but I've seen the, art and stuff. Actually, I think I've read the first manga of it, if I can remember correctly.
Read the first volume of it.
Yes.
Now, release me or I'll call the police.
Oh, you think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sleazy douche! I love how she keeps changing the name on the... His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. This has escalated so quickly. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eye says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Welcome back, Blackwiz. Blackwiz is just ready for me to hit end stream so he can leave his message. Say, haha, sucks to be you, Pandora. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. He's a certified asshole. He gains 100% on that exam. The nerve of this person. I know, right? Jesus Christ. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give in to this goading pleas, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. Hit him where it hurts!
Shout for help!
Ah, hit him where it hurts! That's what I want to do!
Where it hurts. No.
Why do I not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a tough lesson. Oh my god. You were a VTuber in class and the teacher turned off your video. What are you talking?
Did you have your model for your, like, Zoom class or something? That'd make...
Oh, like Skype call or whatever. No, Zoom class is what it is now, yeah. Hit it where it hurts!
Mister, you have until the count of 5 to
Oh, that's definitely gonna make that go down. I don't give a shit. A fair warning. Farther than any I can offer people of his kind, and I'm already being considerate. Okay, gotcha. Hell, this arsehole doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen, well, he's as much responsible for what will happen as anyone.
Or else what? Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth. A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
Don't say I didn't warn you, Bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy.
I hate that.
FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm. Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. Then, without any preamble, nuts and bolts, I just got an achievement. My legs move in one fluid motion to deliver a swift, powerful, well-packed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. He yelps, abruptly drops his hold on me, and kneels over, howling from the pain. I can see tears forming at the corners of his eyes, too, though the mere sight of it prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. This is what I have been wanting to do since the beginning of the game.
Imagine if
Hell yeah.
while doing that.
The game has peaked, we can call it here, right?
We're good, we can end it.
I would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with an ego too big for his head. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him ever procreating remains to be known. I mean, she's already pregnant now, so... But a part of me, and supposedly someone else is, but we're not sure if it's actually his or not. But a part of me is already praying he doesn't ever breed after this.
Too late.
We have no need of more of him in this world.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Why this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true.
I love how Kylie's just standing there, like, watching this, like...
You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
Why is my teacher kicking my uncle in the nuts? Normal. It's fine. Another Tuesday.
You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
And yet, you seem to flirt with literally every single girl you come in contact with. Other than her. Like, that much at least appears to have a sliver of truth of it. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me begins to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. Poor Hana. Poor Hana.
Poor Hana.
I don't understand why he has to bring her up, either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to this problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my teal?
Whatever word's still left to be said here dies on my tongue. The same thing goes for the sleaze. Besides us stands Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that look all too well. A precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. What was that?
Mom, Dad, why are you two fighting? and out in public.
Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you, until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sakes. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might be the first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can be very well just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
Right at the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against this man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, my one memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. You should remember! Jesus Christ. So if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Tio Luke, gazillionaire extraordinaire, and the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that I know, right? Whatever it landed is it that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior, I shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spraying to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know. I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has a smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. I mean, we've already kicked him in the balls. Let's just go for it.
I'm surprised he recovered that quickly after that kick, too.
Right? But damage control. Oh, God. I don't want to apologize to Luke. Fuck Fuck that guy.
Cracked his skull with a book. Cracked his head, cracked his balls.
Like...
and he recovered very, very quickly.
Because of the situation, I feel like I should apologize to Luke, but I don't want to.
Oh, fuck him. I don't care if our relationship with him is at the very,
God.
physically flawed and it can possibly be, or even in the negative.
I love how we're like, fuck Luke, he doesn't matter. We're gonna have a lot of fun times on his route.
Oh god.
And then him go down again. We're never gonna have a good relationship with Luke, ever.
No, nobody should.
Of course. Well, actually, I think, like, everyone, I think even Marianne had a decent relationship with him, because I kept choosing the answers that would, like, do well for both of them.
Well, you can go back and check.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Isabella's was normal.
Eh.
Hana had a good relationship. He didn't have any interactions with him at all. And then Marianne's was good because I chose the same... oh, thank you for following, Cupcake. I chose, like, the ones that would make them both happy.
Yeah, but why did we care so much with him?
I don't know. I mean... Rebecca's just not giving him the time of day, man. Like, she's just like, fuck him.
Yeah, look at that face. That's the face I wanted to give him directly.
Speaking of, I'm gonna save. Okay. Of course, an apology is the most appropriate thing to say, but no matter how much I will myself to do it, my own body refuses to budge. My own mouth refuses to open, and my head rejects the very idea of looking at him. No apology for an arsehole. I know, right? Not as someone with an ego too big for his head. Let his pride suffer. I'm not going to eat my words for the sake of stroking his damn ego. Less reason for him to gloat. Kylie, however, I owe an explanation.
Don't worry, Kylie. I'm not fighting with your Tio. This is just, a discussion.
Look at his... He immediately frowns, like...
A very mature adult, and one that's not.
Really? But I've never seen Tio angry before.
Oh, he gets angry so easily.
There's the first time for everything, Kylie.
It's because he's losing the argument. But don't ever follow his example, Kylie. You should always learn to be patient, even if things aren't going your way, okay?
Oh sure, a discussion. And it involves hitting random strangers you meet at a cafe with a book. A hard-bound book. Mind you, the little me hasn't recovered yet. My future generation never survives from this. We are going to have more than words, woman!
He doesn't even want kids! Like, what do you mean?
No, he doesn't. He just lucked out and having, oh, we're gonna have twins!
I don't allow Kylie hear his tirade and cover both of her ears with my hands. He needs to die. Marianne and Hannah can raise the twins. Happy ending. There we go.
Then we need to kill him on his route.
We need to.
Is what you're saying.
I mean...
I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Let's do everything we can to kill him. Oh my god, dude. As fond as she is of the man, there are words he shouldn't be saying in front of a child. How can he not know about that? More importantly, how on earth did someone like him become a godfather? Who allowed it? Who signed the paperwork? Maybe I should talk to Miss Suarez about it. Warn her he's not a good influence for her children.
Language! How can you use such crude words in front of her? Your goddaughter can hear you, for heaven's sake.
Oh, and you didn't. If I remember everything correctly, you called me a rotten beau.
So, you're going to repeat it in front of her, just to make a point? What, are you 5? Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
Damn! You tell him, Rebecca! Hell yeah! Even Isabella, I can say that much with certainty.
Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
That's... That's proving her point.
See what I mean?
Are you fighting again?
Oh, no. Like I said, we were just having a discussion.
I love this so much.
We're actually done now, but you need to promise Miss Pink you will never grow up like this guy. Good kids don't do what he's doing.
But I like Tio.
And I'm quite sure Tio likes you too. But liking people is different. Just because you like him doesn't mean you have to be like him. There are better role models for you aside from him.
Like you?
Not exactly what I'm trying to get at. But if that's what you want, I don't see why not.
Okay, I want to be like Miss Pink someday. I want to be a teacher. And I promise
Damn,
I
that
won't
really
be like Tio. Even if he's a gazillionaire.
This game is really interesting. You caught it, like, way far down the line. This is, like, the, 5th? There's 7 of them, right? So we're on the 5th, like, main route out of 7. Well, it's all one route, but the 5th, yeah.
Use your words.
Yeah, the 5th person / perspective of... I consider them all, like, separate routes, but it's a continuing plot line. So...
And we just turned his goddaughter against him practically. No questions asked.
Hell yeah.
He's like, I won't be like Tio even
Turning
if
my
he's got
own
money.
goddaughter against me.
Oh, we'll get to the horror, Foxy. Don't worry about it. We'll get to the horror.
How mature of you, Miss Pink.
His tone makes me pause. For the first time since this talk started, I look at him. Briefly, something flashes behind his eyes. Something close to what might be an expectation, falling, dismay, I can't be sure. It passes almost as soon as it appears. What's that about? Does he actually like having Kylie around? Doesn't seem like it from the get-go, but if that fond smile on him is anything to judge by, then maybe...
Don't worry, Tio. If you buy me bread pudding tonight, I'll like you again.
Oh, if that's all it takes, consider it done, sweetheart. We might have to find another place to buy it from, though. Somewhere safe, where a random crazy woman isn't going to attack us out of the blue.
You deserved it.
Let's go.
Okay.
Worth it, 100%.
Bye, Miss Pink. I still like you, just not more than Tio anymore. See you.
Wow.
She's so easily swayed.
I know, right? Hi, Taser. How are you?
I'm getting everybody in here tonight.
I know, right? How many people we got right now? I see 7.
Yeah, that's 7 people.
Kylie's already pulling him to the cafe's exit before I can protest on it. Although it's not like there's anything to object on further. Yeah, right now it doesn't look like horror. It's for the most part, like, until those cutscenes happen, it's like a, you know, like a regular slice of life, yeah.
It does like to drop your guard.
It does, like you get...
And then it punches you in the gut.
It's like, oh, everything is fine and normal and happy, and then all of a sudden you get the weird grudge noises, and I'm like, oh no, oh no.
And then sometimes quick time events that you gotta press a bunch of keys for.
Like, every time I hear, like, her, I'm like, immediately, I hunch over and I'm on my keyboard, like...
You, like, tense up like a fucking cat.
I really do. I'm like, oh no. I may view that man, Luke, as someone hateful, maybe to the point of seeing him as an eyesore, but I don't think that it'll have any bearing on what the child thinks of him. When you think about it, if she admires him so much like that, then maybe there's still something agreeable in him. There's not. A part of him only Kylie sees. He still has the gall to wink at me before they both disappear behind the door, so maybe not. The nerve. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Higarashi's kind of the same way, too. Like, now that I think about it. Like, everything just seems normal and happy, and they're all kind of running around, playing, and then, like, all of a sudden it's, like, death. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Yeah, and then it goes back to normal for a while, and then there's more death, and then it goes back to normal for a while.
Death is normal around here. It's just everybody just...
So much whiplash. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. Was the guy at the counter, like, just watching, like, this whole thing?
If that happened at my work, I totally would. I would stop everything that I'm doing, record it, and post it
Hell
online
yeah.
and be like, oh, this is how my day went.
He offers me another smile before I leave.
Got his head beaten to the floor, his nuts broken that I could hear it.
Normally I return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I rarely know on a personal level, feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. Nice. That was hilarious.
Oh, that was fun.
I loved that so much. So that was the night of the 25th.
Best picture. Best picture.
Best one. That's hilarious. I wish I could have got a CG of his face when we kicked him in the nuts. I want that.
Honestly, I wish they did, like, little animated cutscenes. Can you imagine how funny those would be?
Oh my god. That would be hilarious. A cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spreads out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it at is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and the obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mom's hometown, and another time in the university she used to attend. Then she asked if it's possible to try it out here sometime. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton. Though up until now, we never got around to it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know? Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talents to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. But the fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with.
Oh god.
Oh, shit.
Who's in the passenger? Oh, wait.
It's her. Kylie's sitting on the back seat with a serving of bread pudding in her hands. Beside him must be his wife. That's not his wife. That is not at all. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. But throughout the night, the cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. More than that, it's a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. I know, right? Wow, what a Tuesday. Damn. Kicked someone in the balls.
Long ass Friday, hell of
Yeah.
a Tuesday.
Good times.
Had some kid potentially locked in a locker, beat some dude down in the cafe getting dinner on the way home.
Oh man, I need to write this. She needs to start writing this shit down, man. Like, I don't.
All the while wondering, is my neighbor home and safe?
Who knows? The diary too, right? That's what I was about to say. After such an eventful day, anyone will think nothing will surprise me anymore. But here I am, standing at the top of the stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me. Relief crosses my mind first, followed by confusion. Another scene? Has she not been through enough today?
What is she doing there?
Not.
Although, given what happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. What's important is Isabella's here. She's sitting cross-legged on the hallway, just right in front of her room, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. More than once, upon giving the scene a quick scan, I spot Briar Realty's logo at the topmost area of the pages. Everything considered, it looks like a mess made by a third grader working on crunch time. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about this myself, in fact. But something in the calm, focused manner she holds herself at present keeps me from disturbing her with that reminder.
Wait, what's happened?
What?
Isabella to be sitting up. What else happened today for Isabella to be sitting out there?
This is the day she showed up at Zach's apartment, fell asleep at his house. Zach told her about the pills, gave them food, And then that's it as far as we know. This is the night of the 25th. So,
Then comes all
I'm
those
not
stack of
sure.
papers.
She's going through each page with intensity. Her brows are furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precise movements as she sifts through each
She's
sheet.
sitting outside, so all those papers should be like in the parking lot.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why is she not in her apartment? When she finds something of note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever paper she's holding, and grabs her phone to call someone.
Ah, hello. Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay.
Maybe it's a mental thing, because, like, she goes in there, she's gonna want to turn on the news and be reminded of Rose or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call, then after the last one ends, she shuffles through the pile again and dials another number. Is it work? I've never seen her this engrossed with her work before. Otherwise, she would have noticed my presence the moment I've reached her floor. For the 9th call, she still appears as oblivious to it as when I arrived. When she lets out a loud sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
At once, her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thump. There's the Isabella I know. Glad it's still there. I allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking again.
Becca, you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the two of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, she grins once I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet, it doesn't reach her eyes. There's something of that cheerful glint in it this time. Just a hollow tone for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something's happened.
Yeah, maybe later.
Definitely. She almost died.
I've gotta finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now. I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room. Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
In spite of what's happened to be good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out and slow.
It's a good thing, Isabella. Believe me. But you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
Yeah, Zach can't lie for shit. Neither can I. She hastily averts her eyes, a surefire indicator that this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that can possibly end with the other person angry. Again. It's one thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Still, I've made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? If she keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen.
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
A slight movement of her lips, although a frown, it's a reaction at least. Her family is the safest right now? Like, I'm getting there.
Rose?
She merely shakes her head. Just a little more.
Come on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow. You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. She shifts then. Oh, shit. Her fist clencing tight and teeth biting her lower lip, and there's fear. The look of terror in her eye is the last thing I expected to see out of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. When she finally voices it out, the words simply spill out of her mouth. One after another. All of it. Truth to what I've promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself, even from the two most dependable people I know. The fact that she chooses to tell me this speaks a lot to me.
Becca, she was there again. Last night? In the office? Boss passed me all of Rose's lurk load yesterday. for the Ermengarde mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all. And then, when I was about to go home, I saw her. I saw her again.
Yeah, I almost died. That
She
sucked.
was standing in front of me again last night, Becca. I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me, Becca, she almost did. If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it. I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
By the end, her hands are trembling and her breathing comes out in rasping intervals. For a long moment, I let the silence stretch out between us, let her sobs fill it instead. But even as her soft whimpers die down minutes later, there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. From my exasperation over this whole matter. From my own frustrations over her stupid superstitions. When she could do all of us a favor and grow a backbone. She may be young, but she's no longer that young. It's about time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. What if she goes home? What if we're no longer there to keep her fears in line with what's real? What would she do then? But you've seen shit too! You're just not accepting it!
Blaming it on the cold.
I'm more afraid for her, for what kind of that kind of imagination will do to her, than of what some imaginary monster could. But with the manner she's looking at me right now, there's an expectation in it, a hope and a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. If it's like that, then what am I supposed to say now? I'm not gonna say this again. That's so mean. Like, what she wants to hear or what she needs to. It's gonna make it go up. Yeah. As much as I want to set her straight, a reprimand isn't what she needs right now. Yeah, she needs someone to be there. With that pouty face she's giving me, I doubt it'll ever end well if I push it. I know her. What she wants is to be stubborn. She's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be acquiescing, too. Times when she'll be more accepting of what I tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. The talk can wait. In the meantime, I'll be the ear that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions on it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I've grown another head, and a laughter slips out before I can stop myself.
There? I can't do that! What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens. And...
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out, you should have phoned me. You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
Corners of her mouth curl up, a sheepish smile by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smiles are never half-hearted, never lacks her high spirits. In spite of this, I know everything's going to be okay. Somehow. After all, she's learned how to pick herself up long ago, long before we met.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
It was probably just closer, like the first house she could think of. Yeah, on the way out of the office.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you. There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything. You just slept there. There's Ashton too, and me. But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? Think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Then she grins. Playful and mischievous, a preamble to an old banter. Still not quite there, still not quite her usual self, but with it, I know we're bound to get her back soon.
Mom!
I told you not to call me that.
I send an elbow to her side for added measure, but when laughter follows the familiar gesture, none of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So, for the moment, I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out between us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet, in this moment, as she fiddles with the edge of another paper near her, she hugs her knees close to herself and lets a pensive expression linger on her. It feels strangely fitting. As if this is where everything's supposed to lead to if we allowed it long ago. Oh. Seconds later, the moment is broken by the sound of a door easing open and a voice begging some little piece.
How many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep. Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens. Millennials.
Sorry, we won't do it again.
You'd better.
Oof. The door closes and Isabella starts gathering the mess she's made, carefully stacking them all in her arm. That's a really strict landlady. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's not like they were yelling or anything. At a loss for what to do, I help her pick them up, and for the first time I get a closer look at it. Completely unintentional, of course, but it catches my attention nonetheless, and a confused frown makes its way to my face. Why is she looking through this? I look to her for an explanation, but she merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. The last paper she puts on top is a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion, and what's probably the root cause of this odd behavior. It's the cause of everything! I shoot her a questioning look for that, too. But all she gives me is a smile. And in a halting tone so completely unlike her.
Becca, I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me. Anyways, I should go. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
She just brought you food. Isabella walks away before I can stop her, before I can remind her I've brought food enough for the two of us. So you're just gonna make her eat 2 servings by herself. Do you want her to get fat? Come on. She quickly disappears down the stairwell when I'm left standing in an empty hallway holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight. Just an innocent, passing thought. One that I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. Interesting. I ignore all of it, in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again. Okay, so we're jumping to the 27th. Let's see, the 27th. This was the picture development. Zach goes to the university to meet with that guy. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. Brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up at me every now and again. She hasn't showed up after the last talk we had in the hallway, and the dinner I've brought had since been given to a different neighbor before it spoils. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or two. This might simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where. But it's the dour note she has ended our last chat with that gnaws.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and the steady rhythm finally worms its way back into my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Lexport is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London or Glasgow, it's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. I mean, that's still a lot of people for me. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. And if you pay close enough attention, faces talking in the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number it has to be Tio fucking Luke I encounter more than once. Oh my god.
A few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow. Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble. But darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
Are you fucking kidding me? His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. Oh no. It's not that he stands out, he's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everyone around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
I know, right? A single glance at him and I know immediately that, one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also exudes that air. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. Oh, we're gonna have some unfortunate accidents later. We're gonna find a way. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between.
There's not.
I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the same time, helping out sounded a good idea. I've no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lessons plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but crivens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity arose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event, maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with this guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament. All considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Hell yeah, Rebecca. I love Rebecca. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me, and attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even anyone listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'd definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone barrels towards me. She latches onto my waist. Oh, Kylie, no! Kylie! Before toppling the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. Kylie, you traitor! I know, right? The child's added weight on my waist, pitting me on the spot, and both of my hands occupied. Watching is the only thing I'm able to do. This is where my brain would say, fuck. Short seconds in between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time. Comical, even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
I'm gonna kick him. I'm gonna kick him again. I'm gonna kick him again.
No, just throw that whole entire box.
My entire body freezes. Yeah, throw it on his feet. Crush his feet. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise. then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like?
You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you?
Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work?
So much for being a center of academic excellence.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
That something being Luke.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy?
Having a bad day, aren't we?
It was fine until you showed up.
I hate that tone he's using.
I know.
So much right now.
It's so like undermining, like.
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact.
So get out of my way.
Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? I mean, he's an idiot, so probably. Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone. Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
And also an asshole. I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of shit, but I must admit, his goddaughter's excitement is contagious as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but...
You heard the kid.
No one's asking you.
Oh, you wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
That face, instantly that face. He pales, stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's like, hands slowly go to cover.
Don't touch the family jewels anymore.
He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. His composure, when he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. Something short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you. Just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburn Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
You don't say. He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Though,
exactly like a child.
Yes, I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's, quite frankly, far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Why is he acting so friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
Oh, you poor child.
Oh, friends. Just the best of friends. I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city. But Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tia when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Ew. Of course he does. The gross ones.
Oh, that's
like his soul.
Like
probably
his soul.
why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takako this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. So he's taking care of her while her parents are out of town.
Being a good godfather. He is.
Wow. Nights
Air
spent
quotes.
eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year, and sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. How have we not seen her, like, running around the mansion or whatever, and, like, in the other scenes? Like, with Marianne or Hannah or whatever. How have we not?
She loves her Tio so much, she just literally latches onto him.
I guess. I don't know why.
Well, you don't see her with Hana, really.
Yeah. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there. Familiar, though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having grown tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real, and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked that douche, they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she said the doctor today.
Because she's pregnant.
Is that when, yeah, that's when she found out, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's
Wait. Well, when?
Tio said she also went shopping.
What day did she have that scene with where she was hunched over?
It was like well before they even bought the mansion.
Oh yeah. That was early. Okay. That was just the first sign then, I guess.
That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today, extra large. Don't tell Takako, okay?
Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from a demanding child unless you've made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she sees it. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. He spoils her. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather. Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. Before I could say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. No shite given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Ouch. Ouch. So Hannah's just extra baggage to you? Ouch.
Tia married you.
Ouch. That's painful, dude.
But she dropped that right. But she dropped that right back. It's like, well, Tia
Bam.
married you.
Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically.
Technically.
But it's not the same thing.
What the hell? Was it like an arranged marriage or something?
Was it?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't talk about the specifics, really. A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before. On Ashton, whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either sides of her shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place, tender by all means for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd. I'm pretty sure both things mean the same, whatever.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
She's freaking pregnant! Jesus Christ! Leave her alone!
Like God siblings.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like
so
millions?
He implied he's the baggage. That makes
sense. Well, that's what I was like. I was like, if he's calling Hannah baggage, I'm about to slap the shit out of him. Like, again.
But at least he knows his place.
At least he knows he's a piece of shit. Okay.
He knows it and embraces it.
Gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. Slight shift in his smile, from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he had always been fond of, but he has often kept to himself. And at the fleeting glance of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another sentence from him, then, without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder, in a gesture to end the conversation right then and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
Alright, but wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
She soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in the mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I've witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that minute detail.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
You know, putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
I let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might offend the man. He's childhood enough for that, even if what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. You really think that? What does that mean? Do we be nice, or say I don't know what that means. What is that referring to? Where's the backlog? Hold on.
Like, all the hints and stuff, like he was kind of dropping it, like him like a piece of shit compared to Hannah.
Or maybe it's about her with the act thing or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not specific enough. I don't know what it means.
Be rude.
Is that the rude answer? I don't know if that's the rude answer, though. I mean, that feels... This obviously is not a rude answer.
Yeah, so that has to be the rude answer. You really think that?
Ah. I want to save again. Sure.
You really think that?
Oh, it's gone down again. Alright, we're gonna have a terrible relationship with him by the time we're done. It's an honest question, because no matter how much I turn it around inside my head, the gap between the man standing in front of me and the idea I have of him just won't connect. Not that the gesture will go a long way with him. Something in his demeanor tells me he's definitely not the kind of man who readily accepts such when they are given to him. Rather, he feels entitled to it from the get-go, so long as you're standing in front of him. He expects it to be there, demands for it when he cannot see it in you. And after all those insults we've hurled at each other, I don't think it'll matter much to him if I point out the ugly truths or brandish it to his face. As expected, it doesn't throw him off in the least, and he merely raises a questioning brow at me.
About what?
About what you told Kylie. And don't you think she's a bit too young for that kind of talk?
Kylie's 6, Daisy, not an infant who still needs help changing her nappy. At her age, she can already handle more than that. Besides, it's better to nip this whole thing at the bud. You know, before she starts thinking that a man's ego defines her self-worth. I certainly don't need someone else to define me. Why should any godchild of mine do? So, do I really think that? Yes. Yes, very much so. Why shouldn't I?
Alright, I get it. I'm sorry. You just didn't seem the type to me.
I've intended to end the conversation right there and simply go my way. I no longer have any business here, and our deputy principal's stories sound more enticing the longer I stand here. With the manner Luke's almost ranting, I have a feeling this won't end if I say more. Though thinking about it, I should have left the second he has taken the box from me. Naturally, he doesn't get the hint.
The type. And what, pray tell, would my type be according to your standards, woman?
An asshole?
The sort I'd happily bury alive.
Well, would you look at what's coming out of those pretty little lips? Watch the language, Daisy. You're supposed to be teaching children. What would ever happen to this nation?
You know what I mean.
Oh, and you somehow find that tidbit funny.
A little, I admit. That sort of wisdom is the last thing I expected to come from you. I mean, look at yourself. Pampered and pompous to the last hair. You've probably never been to this side of Luxborn until a few days ago.
Daisy, just because I'm dressed miles better than the average bloke you see every day, doesn't mean I'm incapable of thinking on your level. Actually, I'm more surprised we aren't on the same page on this. I expected better from someone with enough balls to hit a random stranger with a bloody book. In public, mind you. Someone my goddaughter looks up to, even. Guess you can't have everything in this world,
Well, of course, I'm...
Oh, I get it. Running on presupposed notions, aren't we? My, what a dangerous thing to practice for a teacher.
It doesn't have anything to do with...
What is it this time, I wonder? Oh, hey, don't say it, let me guess. What do those random gossips in this bloody city usually say? Oh, right. You probably think I'd go with clingy, spoiled kind, didn't you?
What? Where does that... how did you even come to that conclusion?
Oh, don't lie to me now, Daisy. But just so we're clear, if I wanted an arm decor, I'd have gone with the first brainless munter I picked up on the streets. I have standards, you know.
I haven't even said a word. I was just asking what you thought of it.
Oh, but you were thinking about it or else you wouldn't have asked. Might as well get it out of the way,
You are impossible.
So they say. Tell me something I didn't know, Daisy.
You... I really have no idea how anyone with half a brain can put up with you. Let me speak with your wife sometime. I'd love to ask her.
Last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards or the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. Apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say dissipates. Lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned his gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tenor note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
All that talk about self-worth makes more sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. I won't count myself among those, yet his winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. Sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond the machismo, empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps that is as close to friendship as we can get. Several insults flung around with a few shared silences in between, and it's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
About to say, if you're gonna be like, she deserves someone better than me, then be the better person. Like, don't be an asshole. Like, what do you mean? Do what you preach here.
Oh, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl while I meet it with matching perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite big, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me, escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
Oh boy. Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle of the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened?
It's my friend!
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods and immediately clams up after, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff, while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. Tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
I won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career Day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. Tio Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Just a little childish argument, then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge. Yeah, I could never do, like, teaching little kids. Normally I'll leave this for their homeroom teachers to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. That's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I even think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Oh boy. Okay, that's the 27th. Yeah, the career day thing. Okay. Luke trails quietly behind us. Even with the small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable, understandingly so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all just part of a job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the rooms lining its sides are empty, save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our foot against the door. The whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day. With the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn down the hallway, she stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is falling down.
Why does she keep singing that song?
Falling down. London Bridge is falling down. My fair lady.
I can't read this while you're singing. Probably to brace or calm herself, or maybe this is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door is slightly ajar when we get to it, and from inside the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible even of this kind of hush. Oh boy. Turns out Kylie's not the only one Kylie, we need to discuss the possibility of whether you can not. Right? Please no. Despite the situation, a smile forms on my lips as I call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there?
I was thinking earlier
Kylie's friend, aren't you?
her friend could possibly be Ghost Lady.
Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they could be exasperating, especially around this age, but the endearest things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough levels of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it.
No problem, Foxy. Sleep well.
Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries shows no signs of abating. They only grow louder. Not close to a wail. Alarming, regardless.
Are you okay?
From where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some kind of pain, and it's not impossible. They do that at times, hiding what ails them for fear of reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo farthest from their classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in this position before. Behind a door, with someone crying on the other side, my call is ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me, is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath, then I nudge open the door. Whew. I'm not ready. It all happens in a span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat, and when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh, shit. I hate when she does that.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
I called out to her. My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her, her words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it. Yet, noting the manner she speaks, or the way she tilts her head in question carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it's not those that trigger a memory.
Previous conversation of whether you should not.
Right? It's those chilling eyes. Calling. Beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
Listen to her say what? All at once the memory returns to me. That music.
Listening to not.
That music. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trailed on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down a pale face, thank heavens. Just lips contorted a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to ever see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People
What?
like you
What?
deserve to die.
Why am I a bad person? I can't breathe. Oh shit. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Oh, I hate that sound. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tips of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, tortuous descent into another bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, till I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me.
Till darkness claims me and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I'll have all morning to wait.
I'm kind of in a situation right now. My eyes snap open and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger, no vile hatred in them, just plain, sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles had gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm. My breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Teal, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Teal will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. Dread is there, twisting at my insides in anticipation. Of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break off into a run. Brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away on my way out, or the furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whenever they both saw my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. What is happening anymore? That's what I want to know. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense, whatever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me a grief today. You'd think being on my 4th cup of tea would provide a sense of comfort. Or is this the 5th? Huh?
It's a big pint of tea.
Yeah. It's also a really odd color. Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. Last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories. Centuries-old lore passed by locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Dawes books even went as far to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who fed on unborn children straight from a mother's womb, or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place, the world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
That's what she's been trying to tell you. A terrible thing if true. Though that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up, and my brows knit together. Marianne! Yeah, she did give her phone number. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. Takes a moment. When it clicks, my eyes zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. Learned out from the library almost a week ago. Is it the same book she hit him with? I don't
think so.
I met the woman there by sheer coincidence. A fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end she'd given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgot about it up until now, and, well, I haven't taken a peek at it until today. Normally I'd be done with the whole volume of that size in a few days after taking it out, about 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am. Finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone's suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend showing up in her flat right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I had been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello. Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Well, good, because I'm not even close on the book.
Oh? Sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask to someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised. 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No. Let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about this now. Didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitions don't down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is...
It's haunted.
Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this. It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
See things?
No, wait. It's alright, I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary. From the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built, up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the death was passed on the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
As far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death.
Ooh.
But most of those are just theories.
I want to know.
Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
The letter.
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. Hang on. What day was it? Was it later when Marianne... Okay, it was the 28th when all this happened, I think. Right? Yeah, because that was the day of the party. Okay. And we're on the 27th, correct? Yes. So that's tomorrow when that happens. The whole letter of bullshit is starting to sound into more of a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
Okay. She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. Weird. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what little I've gleaned from the conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'd give her that, but she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she's only asked because something's happening around her, too. If she hasn't mentioned the letter, I probably would have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
That's a good question. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories, and absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. Tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay, as I step out of the room ready to put an end to this day. And we still have to deal with this guy. Again. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him, without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
An ass.
An arse.
Oh, come on, Daisy, you've done better than that. Losing your touch?
I thought it was pretty good.
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. A slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and towing at something at the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Teal.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes to the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offender down, but I can hardly hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
Pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tio said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
What does it matter? You have money out your ass! Like, he and Ashton would get along famously on that department. On a different note, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second, I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun! You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I said it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. I'll be around Salemwell this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does with Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by, or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. Two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's already really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. This message didn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. Inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that, still. Okay, but only because Kylie asked. Do I go with them? How long is this gonna take is the question.
That's what I'm trying to think. That's, oh my god.
Because this is, I mean, the party thing's not till the night after.
Tomorrow.
So, like, she still has time to ask Ash.
Yeah, but do we want to raise his bar anymore? Or kind of bottom it out?
Yeah, but it's not really about his bar. It's about, like,
also kind of ambushed us in the back.
Yeah. It's about, is that going to be an interesting scene or not? Or give us some more... You're bottoming Ash's bar? Why? What's wrong with Ash? I'm like, the only one I don't like is Luke. I like everybody else. Should we, like... I mean, there's no guarantee if we say no, we're gonna see Ash, you know?
Yeah, but given what happened this morning... But rather not. Not with the kid that tried to kill me. And then Luke's gonna be there.
And Luke's gonna be there. I'm hoping this is not an important decision.
Nerd, is it important or not?
Yeah, Nerd has all the answers. I didn't really blame him for that, though. I mean, he was a little insistent, but...
For good reason.
It's not important, but going with Luke is the more interesting option. That's what I was kind of leaning towards, just to see, assuming it wasn't super important, just to see what that would be like. You get to see more of the dynamic, I guess, of... I don't know. I don't know. I was leaning towards it anyway, so let's go ahead and go. Which is gonna make his go up, but...
Fuck me, I guess.
You told me to make the choices!
Nerd, shut the fuck up.
In the end, it's my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. Except for when she, like, you know, tried to murder me in the bathroom. Chances are I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse, a sudden call from a friend, or things to work on. Doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. I'm leaning more on the latter happening, hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the third time today, she tackled me into a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
It's just close. You mean it's very close? Luke follows closely behind, and perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away, I can't resist throwing in a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'm the one who should keep my distance?
Yes.
May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try? Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
He literally is a child.
Stick your scary mouth, show you what's scary.
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic tone in it, and briefly, I pause to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual. For the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow I have this strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. Not sure if that's a good thing or not. And amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call it, Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Interesting. Oh, I don't like that achievement.
Dinner date.
I don't like that achievement. Of
You're
all...
the one who went with it. I gave you the option. We could have fucking left.
I
No.
know, but Nert said it would be interesting.
We're trying to bottom him out, and you raised it, so all that progress is gone.
I love how this is what makes you hate me. Of all the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks the one, and this one, and
fucking kill him whenever we get to his chapter.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Of all the places near the school, Kylie picks this one, and waiting for the food to be served is as awkward as I'd imagine it would be. Maybe the interest was raising the salt level. They're still the same.
Nerd, you shut the fuck up right now.
Not the bad sort, though. The pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. When he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks, or we're not exchanging acerbic quips. It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old by enough being chattier, even going as far to laugh when Kylie's story calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once I catch his frequent, cheesed-off expression easing whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves after having lost interest in the conversation, however, we both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with it, that he can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned so far, though. It's too early for those. And besides, I don't like him enough to speak on every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repartee. This whole thing already looks and feels wrong on so many levels. I'm quite sure he feels the same. So when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand while we wait for our respective meals. But it'll be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ashton's probably at Salem well by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make up an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him?
Cut that out. It's distracting.
My hand stills, holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now, after complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is and tasteless the decorations they have here. Previous to that, he has griped about how dull the place is compared to the one he frequented on the upper-class side of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, your majesty. Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. Just uncomfortable he's turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
What?
Bobfuck? Do I even want to ask?
I don't want to hear it. If it's coming from his mouth, it can only be either rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face? True horror.
What is wrong with you? You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap.
You had to look what word up? Oh. Oh yeah, I didn't know what that was either. It's not good. I didn't think it was good.
Preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here. Hmm?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. For whatever reason, he puts an end to that talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book and is now poring over it while I turn back to my mobile.
Well,
Still no
what
message.
It stands for? It might give you an idea.
Yes?
Body off Baywatch, face off Crime Watch.
Okay. What did he kill him to?
A person who possesses a killer body, but has a face only a mother could love.
Feels bad. Would it kill him to at least send a message, check if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all but 10 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the immature act down pat, I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affection during childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, alright? 1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy. Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry.
It's been 10 minutes?
What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you could do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy.
Oh
you
my
could have
god.
informed me first, you know.
Kick him in the balls again.
Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer. Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Can we kill him now?
If there is an option, I will do it. I swear.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Did it
Why
ever
did we
occur
think
to
this was
you
a good
how
idea?
inappropriate
I
this might
just
look
wanted to
everyone?
see if there was like...
Why should I care?
Listen,
it's
listen.
Only inappropriate if you make
We
it
might
to be.
learn more about the situation, like with him and Hannah and Kylie and the whole family dynamic and why he's freaking like this. That was my reasoning in my brain. But it looks like we're just gonna have an awkward dinner.
No, I don't want to know the reason why he's an asshole, because assholes are just assholes.
I know, I get that. But like, just seeing why helps me in my brain. Okay.
There's normally never a why coming from an asshole.
Sometimes there is. But that doesn't excuse them being an asshole. But
But it
Relax. I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry. He doesn't even need to know we dined out. It'll
What
be
about your
our
wife?
dirty little secret.
He's not my boyfriend.
words come out with more force than I've intended. By the time I realize my slip-up, his lips are already spread in a sneer. Heat slowly crawls up my face.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
She is pretty easy to read, though. Briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I care to know, but in the next second he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I know I flipped a switch in him somewhere, and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile, waiting for another message from him? For a reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him?
Look how mottled you are. Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush.
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours, and your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity, because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
AKA, he doesn't give a shit.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with. Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day, losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you? Or putting everything you have aside to please them? To have your whole world revolve around one person?
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them, to have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for a dashing Prince Charming? What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after?
Oh my god. He never has anything nice to say, does he?
Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Since they were in elementary school, I think.
At least 20 years.
Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What is his mere 17? Maybe it was middle school. I thought it was elementary school, though. I think it was late elementary school.
Well, to them, I think it's elementary because their system is different than ours.
Yeah. What does his mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two things are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship like what I'm hoping for years, but what we have isn't something anyone could scoff at. I've always been by his side, enduring everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger, says, I know there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20...
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. Despite myself, the doubts resurface and my defenses crumble right before my eyes. It's no wonder he sees right through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. We gonna punch him again. I did this so I could have another chance to kick him in the balls. That's why. Just kidding. I don't know. Restrained, low, and rumbling. A sharp sound striking the air around us, amidst the murmur of people and the soft notes of the music playing above our heads. His shoulders shake, and when his mirth becomes too much even for him, he reaches up a hand and presses it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him. I thought we'd be talking more to Kylie. Like, not to just him.
Bloody bullocks, this is just brilliant. Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
He dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, what he has for me are more words. Scathing, each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time. Never looking at another man. He must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Ouch. Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. I challenge, but I hold him against him with the same intensity, because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment I believe I've won. Though he draws in a breath and turns back to me. The words he drops next, though hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
It rattles. Of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Hi, Pred. How are you? Maybe it's the manner he delivers it? The lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in the tone he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, merely to express a simple truth. This time it's him who holds gaze against mine. Another unspoken challenge, and I realized that this happened minutes before. I'd already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. But the anger is there, ringing at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've long kept. Oof, 4:30 a.m. Go the hell to sleep. Jesus Christ. Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until other people came in between us, I've always been the one there. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, and that day, he'll see it for what it is. In spite of that, in this minute, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers. What right do you have? You have the gall! You have the gall!
Yeah, what right
to tell me what I can do about my life. Listen. Oh, why did you drink caffeine? It's 4:30 in the morning. You have to sleep. Let me just, like, take a book here. We'll use Rebecca's book and hit you over the head so you can fall asleep.
Damn, Fred, that's a lot.
Holy shit. 1 liter of energy drink? Holy. Why? Why?
Bro.
Oh, bruh. I'm kind of impressed, but bruh, that's not healthy. I have one thing of, I mean, I would have only done one of those 3, and not that big of a drink. Okay.
I wouldn't need that much.
Yeah, I can't even, like, drink caffeine because it makes my heart rate go way too high. I want to say, what right do you have, you bitch? Like, that's what I want to say. I don't know if that's the good or the bad answer.
We're about to find out.
Oh, that's gonna make him go down again. See, I just undid what I just did.
You better bottom him out, I swear.
How dare he, though? How dare he just waltz in and act like he can do as he pleases, say what he wants, or trample over other people's feelings? Yeah, how dare he? Oh, sorry, I didn't read that. He doesn't even know anything about me or Ashton. We've only met a few days ago, and yet he acts like we've been acquainted for years. He hasn't even met Ash. How can he say these things about him? The longer I hear his tirade, the more it sounds like he's pulling it out of his arse, out of some misguided thinking. He's better than anyone in this whole bloody city. What a pompous bide. I don't know what that means, but normally I'll ignore people like him. He doesn't deserve a single second of my day, but a small voice at the back of my head protested the idea of simply leaving things here. I refuse to let this go on until I've said my piece and defended myself. You defend yourself, Rebecca. You do it. Those are merely months of harbor feelings for someone he's scoffing at. They're made of years, all of it built upon memories we've had from childhood.
What right do you have to tell me that?
None whatsoever, Daisy. But did you assume I haven't seen that before? Those longing looks? The face of someone who wants something but has yet to get it? Give me a little credit here, woman. I'm not daft, nor am I blind to your silly little feelings. It's plastered all over your face anyway. I didn't even need to try.
Pause comes after while I wait for him to add to that. He doesn't, but briefly a wistful expression spreads across his face. Surprisingly gentle, as if remembering an old memory of him once upon a time, or something he has constantly seen in the mirror. It's gone in the next second. Then he turns his attention on a box beside him. For the next few minutes, he contents himself while making a mess out of the paper napkins inside, folding them into clean shapes without any clear intent, before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest, dumping them in a small pile in front of him. I allow it to go on for a little while before I interrupt him. I am not yet done.
And somehow that's reason enough for you.
Not at all. In fact, you didn't even need to stay here and listen to me ramble about it. Go on, walk away, the door's wide open. If you wish to be done with this mindless topic, you certainly won't hear me complaining if we just drop this now. I, for one, am very eager to be done with this stupid nonsense about your man and your...
You don't know me.
He pauses in the middle of another paper napkin into an airplane and glances up at me.
I'm quite sure we've already established that, Daisy. But go ahead.
And you know not a single thing about him.
That too is true. Are you going anywhere with this?
We've always been together since we were children. We've been friends for a long time. We know each other better than anyone. Compared to those 7 measly years you're so proud of. We've been with each other for almost a lifetime.
Not quite. Add a few more years, maybe? It does sound romantic when you put it that way, doesn't it? Not many people get to have someone with them that long. That's what you have going for you, isn't it? Cute years playing hide and seek, going to school together, and sharing lunchboxes? Did he also protect you from bullies? I bet my socks he did.
He actually did, but I hate the way he's saying that.
Lucky, I don't even remember anyone from my old neighborhood. Well, except for that one Nancy who spat his drink in my face years ago. You better pray I don't find him.
So, you're just going to call it that? Despite what I told you, you're just going to call it an obsession?
Isn't it?
Of course it isn't.
Night-night, Pred. Hopefully you can sleep.
Didn't I already tell you?
Did it ever cross your mind how your man would feel about all this?
You think I've never thought of that? Listen here, you.
Or were you expecting he'll simply feel the same all because of some shared history you have? Because fun fact, Daisy, feelings change and people, most definitely, also change with time. Whoever that person was 10 or 20 years ago, whatever idea you have of them floating inside your head, they won't be the same now.
What are you trying to get at?
Suppose that man of yours wants something else for himself. What if he never returns your feelings, the way you so desperately want him to? What will you do?
That's not going to...
Are you going to beg? Tell him to choose you instead? Or are you going to lash out at the poor woman or man who happened to catch your man's attention?
My voice falters. His eyes focus on me, the piece of paper he's been folding earlier now left forgotten in the space between us, while he waits for my response. However, I can't give him one. He's already aware of that, and it's shown in his face with his lips formed on a lopsided smirk. How can I when I've had my suspicions all along? One that rears its ugly head every time I simply see the two of them in the same room.
Oh, I hit a nerve, didn't I?
That's none of your business.
It's true, though. The poor bloke doesn't have any obligation to return your precious feelings. Nor can you force him to. That wouldn't be right.
If you're just going to mock me, we might as well sew your bloody mouth shut this instant.
Now, no need to get violent.
Oh, I will get violent. Again.
But come on, 20 years? Gordon, Bennett, if nothing's happening past that mark, you might as well consider your options, woman. Even I wouldn't last that long.
Stop it.
One of these days, I'd like to meet the guy and share a few drinks with him, just to give the poor bloke a break from you.
Ouch!
Probably see how dense he really is. I mean, a lovely woman like you chasing after him, and he doesn't give a shite? That's new. It'll be on me, don't worry.
I said stop it! I don't want to hear a word of it anymore!
The chair scrapes the floor as I abruptly push away from our table to stand. Looming over him with the most piercing glare I can summon, anger undeterred by my own ragged breathing and clenched fists, looking down at him in the same manner he did to me throughout his chat. The only way I can keep my pride intact in front of him and the other people watching this sudden scene unfold. I hate this man. I hate the fact that he can unsettle me like this, turning everything around from what I've believed with his mere words alone. What's more awful? It's how easily those can replace the very ideas I hold dear to me. Not because I am easily swayed, but because in each of them, I'm aware there's a sliver of truth. Minutes passed in quiet tension. Some of the diners have already lost interest in the commotion and returned to their meals. A waiter serves our food soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to our table, unaware. Before I can take a seat, Luke mutters something. The words spoken in the same biting tone he had assumed since earlier. Despite my opinion of the man, I stop to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. What comes out of him only rings true against my ears, above the din of the coffee house.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection? I sincerely hope not. Kylie spoke highly of you.
He spears a piece of his food, pops it into his mouth, and that's it. With that, however, he leaves another challenge in the air. Another question. One whole day with this man, I still can't figure out what his deal is. This time, I don't rise up to it. Doing so means facing a different set of truths I'm not ready to face. Bitter truths. Those are for me to ponder on later, not in front of these people or him. His loathsome face and his sneer are the last things I'd ever want to see if that introspection ever happens. For all this, I can't bring myself to think of him as someone wholly despicable. But he is someone wholly despicable. The rest of our meal slips by in silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes silent by another word exchanged between the two of us. Somehow we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. A good thing, perhaps. One, because Kylie's sitting in front of us, and two, I probably wouldn't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to the school, except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without waiting for Kylie and I. Is he really going to give me flowers? Really? Really. He emerges minutes later, carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression back on his face. Unlike the previous ones, he tucks this one away almost as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. Oh, wait. What was the flower he said that, his wife liked, that Hannah liked?
No, it was the one that Hannah mentioned that he likes, is the daffodils.
Oh, he liked him. Okay. Gotcha. At my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous ones. Those are the last words spoken this evening before we head our own ways. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand them. He said something about his mother, right? That he does have a sick mother?
One of them did.
So that's probably for her. Here, however, a whole different set of questions await me. Much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things. A lone tone greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against the faint, warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Ashton's no- he did stop by! God damn it! Ashton's neat script lines its surface. Dropped by earlier, you weren't around. Any ideas where Scaredy Cat is? I couldn't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. LPD stuff, something about her dead coworkers. Anyway, let me know how the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later, Ash. The message he left, short and straight to the point, but not without the underlying hint of friendship. He's looking for Isabella, apparently. Something about LPD's investigation of her coworker's death, but ends its formal tone by checking on me. Us. Interesting. Any other day, the former part of his message will likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. So where is Isabella now? We don't know, I guess. I don't know anything about where she is on this day. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time only guilt fills me and my eyes briefly shift towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection? I sincerely hope not. Kylie spoke highly of you.
Have I always been like this?
This selfish? In truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner. If I didn't catch him here, I'd invite him to that party like I'd planned. There's time and he's still probably awake at around this hour. My hands won't move. Perhaps it is for the better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it'll be best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging tightly to. Find a different perspective and see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it under my hand. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Maybe after some introspection it'll be easier. Couldn't he have called or sent a text? Like, for tomorrow I have that woman in the mansion to worry about. Friday!
Stop. It's like 11.
Huh?
Can we go ahead and stop? Because I still got like shit to do for work and it's already 11.
Sure. I wasn't sure how long this route would go, so I was just kind of going. But we can, yeah.
We're only getting used to the mansion bit.
Well, I have a feeling it's not gonna last too much longer. We're on the 28th, right? So, yeah, that's the day of the party itself. I have a feeling it's probably not gonna last too much longer than that, but I don't know.
I'm trying to figure what day her stuff ends. I want to say the 30th.
So we're on the 28th.
And we still got the whole party to get through, and then...
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a minute, but not like a lot. I don't know. There's a bit to go. Okay. So it's probably at least gonna take us an hour, maybe 2 at the most.
Yeah, because I've also had work today, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I mean, we can always just pick it up next time and then just, switch the title when we get to the next. Hi, Pandora, welcome back. Yeah, well, I mean, usually we do about 3, you know, we've been doing like 3.5 hours for just trying to get through each route, but hers is a little bit longer than some of the other ones, so.
I think the later ones go longer.
Yeah, and we're down to the last, like, 3, so.
Ashton's is definitely freaking long, and then
Yeah.
Luke's is dependent on what we picked.
Pick the first option to kill him. Yeah, that's what we were saying, that Ash's is long.
I think his is like, what? 7 hours?
Oh my god. By itself? Jesus Christ. So I would assume, like, let's shoot for 3 hours, and if it's not, like, ended or close to ending by then we'll just call it, because that's a long time still. And, that gives us a good, round number, I guess, to shoot for, because that's what a lot of the other ones, that's how long a lot of the other ones took, so. That can be the plan, I suppose. Alright, so I guess we'll stop on the 28th and see how far we can get next time. I didn't think hers was going to be this long. I knew you said Ash's was long, but damn. Yeah, because if you count like the 30 minutes we did before that got cut off, it's over 4 hours. And we still got quite a bit to go. Probably at least an hour or 2.
Yeah, like 5-6 hours just on Rebecca.
That's gonna take forever. Yeah, so let's just shoot for like 3 hours and then hope for the best. Because that's a long time to be going, so. Alright, we'll end that for here today. So, thanks everybody for coming to stream. We will play next time we can. Might be next week, might be a couple weeks after, depending on schedules and things. But we will get back to this, finish up Rebecca, and then we'll start with Ash. And we'll go from there. So, we will see what happens with the letter next time. So, we will see you all then. Bye!